Tonight on Cronkite News, referees are in short supply as high school sports get underway. Cronkite News reporter Beatriz Martinez will join us now to explain how this affects schools and the players.
Plus, ASU football is riddled with injuries, especially at the quarterback position. We'll have an update on the team as they look ahead to a top 5 ranked opponent this weekend.
And the Phoenix City Council is set to vote on new rules for short-term rentals, what this could mean for property owners. Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News. I'm Matt Venezia.
And I'm Jeff Hinkle. Thank you for joining us.
Friday Night Lights is synonymous with high school football here in Arizona, and the lights are always shining more and more now on Thursday nights.
Yeah, it's a trend that's a growing concern for both coaches and players.
Beatriz Martinez joins us now from the Cronkite Sports Bureau with why high school sports are moving from the weekends to weekdays.
Most of the time, varsity football games are typically played on Fridays, sometimes on Saturdays. But many are being moved to Thursday due to a referee shortage, an issue that started during COVID-19 but hasn't gotten any better.
There has been approximately 50,000 high school referees who have quit from 2018 to 2021. And because of that, most high school teams have at least one Thursday game on their schedule this season. Saguaro had their Thursday game against Shadow Ridge, and head coach Zach Hill expects all his players to be at school the next morning, even after a late night game.
We'll get up early and we got, film and normal football operations and stuff in the morning, and they deal with it.
Most officials quit because of the toxic environment that's created by parents, coaches, and fans. And Hill is understanding of the pressure referees face while on the field.
You have to appreciate as a coach, and we talk to our players all the time just about, valuing what they do and understanding it's a tough job and a tough position they're in. They're trying to do their best job that they can, and they're not always going to get it right.
This referee shortage has been a recurring issue in high school sports. Shadow Ridge's athletic director Matthew Kuffel says although the shortage does affect football season, it actually affects spring seasons the most.
When you're playing a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, baseball, softball, for example, because of the shortage so much, you run into a freshman single umpire or a JV single umpire, and if they're full, now all of a sudden you get a cancellation. I've got to find game management. I got to find ticket takers. I got to find people to work those games. So it has other effects, not just the game and the officials, but also the game management to run it.
In the United States, only 24% of all referees are women, while 76% are men. Girls' participation in high school sports continues to grow, with girls making up almost 43%. Ann Montgomery was a primary football and baseball official in Arizona for 29 years. For 14 years, she was a crew chief for the Arizona Interscholastic Association and suggests a solution to this issue.
There's so many more girls who play high school sports now that they like sports. Recruit them, teach them, make them feel accepted, and you're gonna solve a lot of the problem about not having any officials.
With girls flag football now being an option in high school sports, that may be a great way to propose the idea and recruit young female athletes to become potential referees. In the Sports Bureau, Beatriz Martinez, Cronkite News. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Beatriz, for the update on the officials. Moving along, in January 1956, Turf Paradise opened its doors and became a horse racing landmark here in the Valley.
And now, after 67 years, live racing and simulcasting at the track is coming to an end. Operations at Turf Paradise will come to an end on October 1st. Owner Jerry Sims released a statement Monday saying he's retiring after running the track for 23 years. Besides live horse racing, Turf Paradise also operates 37 off-track betting sites, which televise nationwide races for Arizonans to bet on. The track closure also marks the end of these OTB sites. A developer set to purchase the site says they plan to build an industrial park for the area.
ASU football is getting ready to open conference play against the number 5 ranked USC Trojans this weekend. Head coach Kenny Dillingham is shaking things up a bit in practice as he was seen taking over the offensive play calling duties. There's still no confirmation on who will start at quarterback on Saturday, but some good news is the Devils will have some key pieces back on the field. Notre Dame transfer Drew Pine was back in action taking snaps with the first team offense this morning. Jacob Conover, who we played in last week's game after Trenton Bourget and Pine were injured, got some reps with the second team. And tight end Jalen Conyers was also back on the practice field. Dillingham confirmed that Conyers will be cleared to play this weekend.
So obviously Drew has a chance, probably will return this week. He feel better. Trenton is very, very doubtful. But obviously when you're dealing with injuries that are like ankles and like tweaks, some kids grow and respond faster than others, and some kids have a higher pain tolerance to kind of deal with things and function, and positions affect that. So we won't really know until we get to, Thursday, Friday.
We'll have to stay tuned to see who will be starting against the Trojans on Saturday.
Yeah, Matt, it's looking like it's going to be Drew Pine, but you never know. Jacob Conover might see the field at some point on Saturday. Moving on, there was lots of glitz, glamour, and talk of golf last night at the First Tee charity event in Scottsdale.
That's right. Jacob Luthi joins us now. And Jacob, you were at that star-studded affair last night, a big, long-running event. Now, can you tell us a little bit more on what you saw yesterday?
Yeah, Ocean 44 in Scottsdale was the place to be on a Monday night. This organization started in 2003, and First Tee has so many supporters now who are helping to grow the game of golf while also teaching invaluable lessons to kids. Celebrities were out in full force in Scottsdale to help celebrate the 20th anniversary of First Tee, a nonprofit organization that impacts the youth by providing both physical and educational programs. Serving more than 100,000 students annually, First Tee Phoenix's primary focus centers on providing students lifelong skills that will empower them through future challenges.
I think the life lessons that kids learn from the First Tee, not just the decorum on a golf course or how to manage your game, but then the personal skills that you develop is invaluable for what these kids are going to do once they're beyond the First Tee age range and take the next step.
And former Vice President Dan Quayle thinks golf might be one of the best sports to teach kids these life lessons at such a young age.
I was fortunate enough to get in golf when I was a junior, and I think if you pick up the game of golf young, it's going to be with you for the whole life. It teaches you good values like integrity and hard work, perseverance. So I'm all in.
Politicians, athletes, and celebrities of all kinds showed up here in Scottsdale at Ocean 44, all in the name of helping grow the game of golf and inspiring a future generation to come.
Well, it's so interesting to see young people make the same choices I made to stick around. Because I'm 17 now, I can look back on the kids who are 9 and say, you're making a good choice by being here, and I can be a part of that good choice.
In addition to its on-course program, which aims to teach golf at facilities around Maricopa County, First Tee's school and community program introduces the game to students at more than 15 school districts around the valley, giving every student an equal opportunity to fall in love with the game.
Thank you, Jacob, for the First Tee update. And coming up next, a look into ASU women's hockey.
We follow up with 3 players that are leading the team to national success.
And is fall weather finally making its way to the valley? Your full weather forecast is next.
Three, 2, 1. Cronkite News. Get real professional experience in areas such as reporting, broadcast editing, and behind-the-scenes production, such as technical director and audio.
Kill the mics.
Or go out in the field and cover important local stories.
Learn and master the English language.
In a fun, welcoming atmosphere. Cronkite News. The future starts now.
Here at the Walter Cronkite School, students produce award-winning content that focuses on health disparities in underserved communities and how to turn things around. In Cronkite News and Cronkite Noticias, students cover stories that affect people of color, the LGBTQ+ community, people with disabilities, and others across the Southwest.
We highlight big problems that are often overlooked in communities that are underserved.
Those stories not only inform and educate people about the challenges, but we work hard to highlight potential solutions. In the Cronkite Agency, students work to connect with community members through social media campaigns in English and Spanish.
Being a Hispanic myself, it's nice to be able to give back to my own community.
Find more of our health coverage at cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
Six-time major champion and former ASU star Phil Mickelson took to social media yesterday to officially reveal he's recovering from a gambling addiction.
Jeff, that's right. Mickelson told fans that he will not be gambling on football this season or playing any sort of fantasy league as he continues to recover.
The 53-year-old admitted that his gambling crossed a line from moderation to addiction, and it hurt people that he loves the most. Mickelson's statement comes about a month after professional gambler Billy Walters alleged in a book that Lefty bet more than $1 billion on football, basketball, and baseball over the last 30 years.
Moving along, last year we brought you the story of hockey players from Alaska who won a national championship together in 2016 and then came to play for ASU women's hockey. A lot has happened in the short years since we first told you their story, and Cronkite News reporter Trey Matthews followed up with the trio and has more on their newfound success.
At the beginning of last year, the ASU women's hockey team made headlines when they reunited old teammates from Anchorage, Alaska. Jill Ketchum, Berkeley Radcliffe, and Ellie McKenna all grew up playing hockey together and even won a Team USA National Hockey Tournament in 2017. Their story doesn't end there. Something special happened for the Alaskan trio while at ASU. One of their goals was to bring a title home to ASU, and back in February, the team won the WWCHL Championship and qualified for nationals for the first time in program history.
2 seconds and one. Third chime is in fact the charm. ASU are your conference champions.
Year one was awesome. We made it to nationals again. We all lived together last year, so that was fun. Like, we never really spent very much time apart. We did a good job hockey-wise, and it was just a really good time.
Ketchum has been sidelined since last December due to a lower body injury, but is gearing up to rejoin both Radcliffe and McKenna on the ice very soon.
I've been skating with just my skates, gloves, and stick for 2 weeks now, and it's feeling good. It's definitely not at 100%, but I just need to get stronger, and then hopefully I'll be back by the end of September.
McKenna was recently named as one of the captains for this ASU team, meaning she now joins Radcliffe and Ketchum among the leadership group for ASU.
It's like cool to see that, you know, we grew up playing together, and now the three of us, from what we grew up knowing and playing hockey, we're able to kind of pass on to our teammates and lead our teammates by example. We grew up, so I think it's really cool to see the three of us getting back together and being on the leadership team with Sammy.
Head coach Lindsay Ellis had nothing but positive things to say about her captains and has big expectations for them going forward.
With so many new players on this team, I think it's really just teaching a lot of the new people how we do things here and you know, what we want to solidify. We want to be a national championship program, and I think, you know, instilling that in every single player, from not only on the ice to in the locker room, in daily life, things like that. You know, we really expect our leadership group to be able to instill that in everybody.
As for the Alaskan trio, their story is far from over and are looking forward to the upcoming season. Radcliffe spoke on how their camaraderie as leaders can help them achieve their ultimate goal.
National championship is the end goal, but I think mostly just like having a team that like we can all come together and we can all play together and we're all very much on the same page and we're all going into every game with the exact same mindset. I think that's super helpful.
ASU will officially start their season on September 28th against the same team that eliminated them during the national tournament this past March in Maryville University. Puck drop is scheduled for 9:15 p.m. In Tempe, Trey Matthews, Cronkite News.
For a moment, it felt as if the summer heat was never going to end, but Sienna Monet joins us from the Weather Center and says those high 100s are starting to fade away.
For this Tuesday evening, it's going to be about 92 degrees at 8 p.m. and then it's going to start to cool off with 90 degrees at 9 p.m. and then 87 degrees at 10 p.m. Looking into our future cast, nothing's really going to be happening across the state until about your morning commute at around 8:30 a.m. where these clouds are going to move on through. Down in Sierra Vista and Tucson, we are going to see some light rain showers move on through until about Wednesday at 11:30 p.m. For these lows, it's going to be about 73 degrees here in Phoenix, so it's really starting to cool down. 57 degrees in Sedona and then 37 degrees at the Grand Canyon. For our highs, we still aren't out of those triple-digit numbers yet, with 100 degrees in Phoenix, 81 degrees in Sedona, and then 75 degrees at the Grand Canyon. On the western part of the state, we're still in those upper 90s, with 96 degrees in Bullhead City. For our 8-day cast, those clouds are here to stay, with Friday being at 95 degrees. If we're looking at our lows for the week, we're in the lower 70s, so we're below average for about this time of year. For Sunday, we're going to have some clear skies with a high of 98 degrees, and then going into next week, we're back in those triple-digit numbers once again with 101 degrees on Monday. Sienna Monet from the Cronkite Weather Center, back to you.
Coming up next, the 78th UN General Assembly opened in New York this morning.
Several world leaders spoke, including one who made his first in-person appearance at the UN.
Here at the TV Production and Graphics Lab, we are behind the scenes making the news happen. Gain experience in the control room directing, teledirecting, and rolling the audio of every Cronkite News show. Run the floor and work in a professional environment, honing your skills for the future. Create graphics that will be seen by the local community on Arizona PBS. Be a part of the bloodline that makes the Cronkite News shows possible.
ASU's one and only student-run radio station, Blaze Radio, provides students with opportunities to cover a variety of topics. From music,
this is Sun City Garage,
to sports coverage,
against the Brewers in his last outing, he went
to news.
The bill also gives parents the ability to see,
and entertainment updates. Blaze Radio offers a fun environment to gain valuable broadcast experience. To find out more, visit blazeradioonline.com.
Good evening, I'm Kenji Ito with a look at news across Arizona. Today is National Voter Registration Day, and things could be changing for voters. Arizona Secretary of State Adrian Fontes appeared at several events today encouraging people to register to vote. And in a state where the number of independents is larger than the number of registered Democrats and Republicans, a committee has started campaigning for the Make Elections Fair Act. This act would introduce Arizona to what's called open primaries. We spoke with Secretary Fontes about what the open primary would look like.
The initiative that is being proposed, we've seen draft language of, now we haven't seen the final language, so this is still kind of in the works, would eliminate government funding of partisan primaries, but we'd still have a primary that included all potential candidates, including independent or non-party designated candidates.
Meanwhile, the Phoenix City Council is set to vote tomorrow on new rules for short-term rentals. And if approved, the city would penalize property owners that fail to register. And failing to register could be costly. The new code calls for a fine of up to $1,000 a month for failing to disclose a short-term rental. Tomorrow's vote is expected to pass. Earlier this month, the City Council legalized the use of backyard guest houses in the hopes of easing the affordable housing shortage. Many folks are also looking for affordable homes to purchase at a time when the market is hot and prices are rising. Our Brie Pacelli looked at what's impacting our market.
Realtor Annette Nelson takes us through this Gilbert condo she recently sold. She says homes like this have not seen a decrease in price.
Statistics say we've really only gone down about 1%, but I work the East Valley, so I work Tempe, Chandler, Mesa, Gilbert. Those areas are booming. Nothing is happening to our prices.
The National Association of Realtors stated home sales across the country were down 23% annually from a year ago. But according to experts, homes in the cities surrounding Phoenix have not seen a decrease in value due to population growth and other factors.
There's not enough supply, period. That is basically it. It is a very simple supply and demand problem. And we have significant employment growth. In fact, we're the #1 employment growth county in the country. And with employment comes population growth. And with population growth comes a need to live someplace.
In recent years, home buyers have had trouble finding homes within their price range. While the value of homes are rising, so are interest rates. Mortgage loan originator Thor Nelson explains why this is a problem for buyers.
At the end of COVID, we saw interest rates almost double while home prices continued to appreciate, skyrocket. So that priced out a lot of first-time buyers, a lot of buyers looking in the lower price ranges, so it has affected them pretty drastically.
Real estate agent Annette Nelson says although prices are still high, homes are still selling.
We're selling homes. They may be taking a little bit longer, but on average, they're selling in less than 2 months. That's a strong market.
Annette Nelson says homes in the Far West Valley, such as Buckeye, Santan Valley, and Maricopa, are seeing a downward shift, which is good news for potential homebuyers.
The Native American Child Protection Act, introduced by Arizona Congressman Ruben Gallego, was passed in the House yesterday. The act aims to address child abuse on reservations.
The yeas are 378, the nays are 32. 2/3 being in the affirmative. The rules are suspended, the bill is passed, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
The U.S. House of Representatives passed the bill on a bipartisan vote, and it now heads to the Senate. Gallego first introduced the legislation back in February. His bill would create a resource center to assist tribes with family services, require new rules for investigation and prosecution, and encourage culturally appropriate treatment. The 78th United Nations General Assembly opened this morning in New York. Several world leaders spoke, including President Biden and the President of Ukraine, Zelensky. This was Zelensky's first appearance at the UN since the war against Russia started in 2022. After Biden's remarks calling for worldwide support of Ukraine, Zelensky addressed the world leaders, calling the war a genocide.
Weaponization must be restrained. War crimes must be punished. Deported people must come back home, and the occupier must return to their own land. We must be united to make it.
And that's it for our news briefing. In the newsroom, I'm Kenji Ito, Cronkite News. Back to Matt and Jeff at the desk.
Coming up next, summer is almost over and Christmas is just around the corner.
That's right, Jeff. The holiday is only 97 days away, and the U.S. Postal Service's annual Letters to Santa program is now underway.
ASU's one and only student-run radio station, Blaze Radio, provides students with opportunities to cover a variety of topics. From music,
This is Sun City Garage,
to sports coverage,
Against the Brewers in his last outing, he went
to news,
The bill also gives parents the ability to sue.
and entertainment updates. Blaze Radio offers a fun environment to gain valuable broadcast experience. To find out more, visit blazeradioonline.com.
Did you know newsrooms today are looking for bilingual journalists? Cronkite Noticias prepares you to cover diverse communities. In Cronkite Noticias, you will obtain an unforgettable experience.
Nopales como este van a tumbar.
Cronkite Noticias.
And develop your skills with the latest technology.
Three, 2, 1. Cronkite News. Get real professional experience in areas such as reporting, broadcast editing, and behind-the-scenes production, such as technical director and audio.
Kill the mics.
Or go out in the field and cover important local stories.
Learn and master the English language.
In a fun, welcoming atmosphere. Cronkite News. The future starts now.
Here at the Walter Cronkite School, students produce award-winning content that focuses on health disparities in underserved communities and how to turn things around. In Cronkite News and Cronkite Noticias, students cover stories that affect people of color, the LGBTQ+ community, people with disabilities, and others across the Southwest.
We highlight big problems that are often overlooked in communities that are underserved.
Those stories not only inform and educate people about the challenges, but we work hard to highlight potential solutions. In the Cronkite Agency, students work to connect with community members through social media campaigns in English and Spanish.
Being a Hispanic myself, it's nice to be able to give back to my own community.
Find more of our health coverage at cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
With Christmas only being 97 days away, the U.S. Postal Service's annual Letters to Santa program is now accepting letters.
Yeah, the program, which helps kids in need have a jolly holiday, is now in its 111th year, where kids are encouraged to write a letter with specific details of what gift they want. The letters can be sent to Santa Claus at 123 Elf Road, North Pole 88888. All letters need to be postmarked by December 11th at the latest. USPS's website, Santa.com, opens for letter adoptions on November 20th. The requests are then put on the website where generous strangers can adopt letters and send the gifts anonymously.
Jeff, it's good to see that the program's back and running now. I think you and I might be a little bit too old to write those letters to Santa. That's it for Cronkite News. Thank you for joining us.